guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Write this down.
It is a Write That Down Wednesday here on Mackey and Judd, where we make fools of ourselves by putting statistics next to our predictions. The only sports show in America with cojones enough to actually do such a thing. Presented this week by our friends at Summit Orthopedics. So if your ego is bruised, I don't think they can help you. But if you have pain in like your ankles, your back, your elbows, knees, whatever it may be, Summit Orthopedics is here. No referrals are needed. Same-day appointments available and walk-in orthopedic urgent care 7 days a week, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. 25 locations in the Twin Cities and Greater Minnesota. And they have over 150 expert physicians and physical therapists. Learn more at summitortho.com. Gentlemen,
Write it down. You like writing things down.
how are we feeling here today? Are we feeling lucky?
Boy, you know what? I don't really have a feel for this today. I'm trying to think of what's coming off the board for this for me. And I guess I'm up in the air on this one. Like the football one we're in, that one right now, it's like, okay, I know some like 2 or 3 things are going to come off the board per week, but
Yeah, but you kind of sometimes you'll just like spaz out and make a random Texas Rangers prediction. And it's like you don't even know what's out there sometimes for you.
no, that's what I'm saying. Like I just have no feel for it. No, that's exactly what I'm saying. I
There's
don't
like
know.
a loons prediction lurking around the corner.
I don't know. Well, you know what? I should have had a few. They'll miss the playoffs. The gaffer will get fired. I'd look pretty damn good right now. I don't think it's that I spaz out. It's that I'm looking to really span the wide world of sports.
Some Bundesliga predictions that you forgot about 2 years ago.
That's
getting ready to come off the board.
That's what we had to do during the pandemic, man.
Those La Liga predictions. Yeah. So, we'll start with the accountability session here, but here's how it works. 3 predictions from everybody each week. They must be quantifiable. Those are the parameters here. We keep track of batting averages and home runs statistically. And if you want to be a guest listener participant here and make your predictions like Kyle is about to for the first time, you can send us a message through the Score North app. Send it to Declan. There's a feedback tab, and we will get you scheduled here going forward. So, all right, 3 things came off the board for Judd. You said Thad Levine will get a second interview with the Red Sox, but he will not get the job. I think he only got the 1 interview.
I think you're right. Yes, I thought of this immediately. No, I think that's exactly right.
So he was rejected. They were told. They told him, you aren't good enough to be the Red Sox.
You are the biggest loser for GM.
Go back to the Twins and pinch your pennies with the Pohlads. The Phillies will beat the Rangers in the World Series.
Do you know what that one is? That is, and we talked about this last week, that is the karma gods of Write That Down, because if you recall, at that point in time, when I predicted it, it looked like a shoo-in that they'd both make the World Series.
Yeah.
Didn't it?
The karma gods came to get Declan later, too, for a similar prediction.
They did.
The Phillies for sure.
I think that's more of the state of baseball playoffs, but yeah, we can go with karma gods too. That also works.
Karma gods don't like haughty.
Well, they don't like when you aggressively hunt for a hit, right?
Yeah,
sometimes.
Yeah, you get overconfident, you get cocky.
But then on the flip side here for baseball, like it is kind of baseball being baseball, but this is going to be perhaps the least interesting World Series in the history of baseball. Is it hyperbole to say that this is the least interesting World Series in the history of baseball?
I think for like deep baseball fans, I think they like it. But I think for the common fan, and the network TV, this is, yes, a disastrous situation.
I don't think the deep baseball fan likes Arizona. I think Arizona is one of the most nondescript teams. Do you know what this is, guys? And just to be clear here, baseball is not in a crisis of its game now. I actually think that they've made some good changes. But this is the equivalent to me of early 2000s NBA Finals. When the Nets were making it,
and the Spurs before they were the Spurs, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not going to watch this.
It was pretty much the Spurs versus everyone. The Spurs, the Spurs Nets, the Spurs Pistons. Ugh.
Joe, what was the last cup before the lockout? Wasn't like Flames and
Tampa, and it's one of the worst. Oh my God, was it awful?
Yeah, it was bad.
That's a good one.
What was the one the Oilers were in? Was that the year before?
Oilers and Red Wings?
Oh, no, Hurricanes.
Hurricanes.
Oilers and Hurricanes.
And Carolina won it. And Dwayne Rollison was playing goal. But the problem, but where I feel bad for baseball is they've actually got their rules right. Like they've done a pretty damn good job there. And so now it's going to be like the first World Series with the new rules. And to Phil's point, no one's going to be watching.
Okay, this is the brilliance of the NFL. Can you name a Super Bowl that would be a dud?
That would be a dud. Interesting.
The closest I can think of historically was 2008 when the Kurt Warner, Larry Fitzgerald, like 9 or 10 win Cardinals
But that game
went up against the Steelers. But it was still like Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald and the Steelers.
It was a fantastic game.
Awesome too.
The one that I can give you that was a dud, and it wasn't the winning team's fault. I think it was the 94. Was it Chargers Niners? And
but that was still like a dynasty Niners team.
But the Chargers didn't belong there, and it's like, oh my God, I don't want to watch the Chargers play the Niners. But it's very rare. To your point.
Seahawks Steelers. That Super Bowl stunk.
But even so, like going in, you thought it stunk. Or
yes.
Yeah, I suppose like the game was
like
actually
Matt Hasselbeck, like a young Ben Roethlisberger. Like the Steelers are a legacy foot. Like meh.
I'm trying to think this year of the teams that, like, if the Lions got there, that would be awesome.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Right?
But the Super Bowl for build-up purposes is bad proof.
Yeah,
it's bad proof.
Yeah,
it's
like
crazy.
I don't think there's anyone where anyone would seriously say, you know what, I'm not going to watch that game.
Yeah. You did say Gophers Iowa would go under the 30 points. I think 30.5 was the number. You said they go under 30 points, so you got that one. All right, I said LeBron James will not retire, which he didn't, and the Lakers will acquire Kyrie Irving before the first game of this regular season, so that didn't.
Which LeBron wishes that they had. Phil, I saw your retweet of the D'Lo LeBron discussion.
Did you see that? I think that was clipped out of context a little bit. I think the discussion happened after the three. But LeBron James had to pull D'Lo aside and be like, hey, man, when we run this action at the top of the key, give me the ball. D'Lo's like, got it. Sounds good. And he's just ignoring it, launching up contested threes. I said Gophers Iowa would go under 21 points. Turned out to be 22 points.
Oh, when I gave you
oh
extra
my
point.
God.
But in one of the great tape measure home run shots in the history of Write That Down,
absolutely,
I told you on the record that one of these two teams would score exactly 12 points. It just kind of felt like that type of game. And then I floated off the record, I could see like a 12-10 finish to this game, and those things happen. So every once in a while, someone gets one on this show.
That was unbelievable. And Twitter lit up Saturday after the game. It was hilarious.
A lot of people, the people that listen to the podcast, and once they got to 12, and I was sitting on my couch, I'm like, okay, so I want them to win, but I really more just want them to stay on 12. So if Iowa could just like keep the ball here, see what happens.
For the 2024 campaign, I could see when we're done with this session, I could see adding a Grand Slam home run category.
We'd have to find a way to kind of quantify that.
But I mean, but I think it's quantifiable where like this is a Grand Slam home run.
We used to have doubles, triples, and home runs.
Yeah, that's too much work. No. But I'm just saying, like, a Grand Slam would not be hard, and I think we all could agree. Like, that's a Grand Slam right there.
Yeah, it would have. It's all sort of the feel test, right? It's like, is it pretty unlikely? Is kind of our
that
feel.
shot right there is not in the flower
would be,
pots.
Though, it would tepid the home run category. Like, I think we'd lower the bar for home run, which I guess like isn't the worst thing, but it would lower the bar for home run.
I don't know.
And then there'd just be like that random season of Write That Down where the ball was juiced. We added the Grand Slam category. Now everyone's got 30 home runs and 2 Grand Slams.
It just feels to me like a prediction like that should be given more than like when we vote on a home run and it's borderline and we're like, okay, it barely cleared the fence. I mean, you called the points.
I do feel like it should be celebrated grandly. Yes. Let's more fanfare.
Nice work.
So every once in a while. All right, listeners had a couple come off the board. Michael said the Gophers would lose to the Hawkeyes again this year. Negative, Michael. And then Tyler said, this was back like further into the offseason. This was around like free agency time, that the Wolves starting 5 on opening night would feature 2 new starters compared to last year's starting 5 on opening night. So Mike Conley is new and starting compared to a year ago. And they've announced that Jaden McDaniels will not be active for this first game. So there will be a new starter in place of Jaden McDaniels for tonight. So I think Tyler is more thinking about a trade of Gobert or Towns or something, but this is how you backdoor a point and write that down. And then a rough week for the Dexter here. He said PJ Fleck would burn all of his timeouts before the 2-minute mark of the fourth quarter. I think he actually went. I think they rode the boat back home with 2 timeouts still in the boat. Pretty sure.
Floyd's first stop, the Fleck household.
Yeah, it was weird. I saw
in
that
Edina.
quote.
He took it home.
Did I see he made a comment about like having the axe in bed too?
He slept. Yeah. He and Heather slept with the axe the first time the Gophers got the axe back with him as coach. Now that to me could be dangerous. Like what if you like literally toss and turn at night? Well, like I roll over a lot. Although wouldn't an axe hurt?
I'm a big body. Like I have a body pillow that's bigger than me, and I snuggle that thing like crazy. If you told me if you just slipped in that axe and thought it was a body pillow, I probably wouldn't move. I'd probably be okay.
Until you hug it too tightly, and next thing you know, there's blood coming out of your chest.
I have so many questions that probably aren't even appropriate for this forum about sleeping with an axe, but he did not burn all of his timeouts. Phillies Rangers will meet in the World Series. You predicted this when both teams were up 2-0. And the Phillies blew it. They blew it. Including 2 home games at the end of that series too. Mm-hmm. Rockets crowds.
How did they lose?
It's baseball.
Yeah,
baseball's weird. And then you said the Wild would post a shutout between last week and this week's. Write that down. I feel like they gave up 4 goals and pretty much.
They're not playing well defensively. Yeah, fun game last night, but they're not playing well defensively. So here's the question today: is Mad Dog Russo going to retire? Because he said, I think on a show yesterday, or no, 2 days ago, he said if Arizona wins the series, I will retire.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Like if they win the World Series, he's out. He's done.
He said if the Phillies, if the Diamondbacks beat the Phillies, that's what it was.
Yes, he said it. There were 2 games left. I think it was before Game 6. He said they're not going to win. He said I didn't think that they'd get past Milwaukee. I certainly thought they wouldn't get past the Dodgers. If they win these next 2 games, I will retire.
No way, dude. I hope that's verbally binding because you have to. It's like wrestling. You can't have a retirement match and then not go away for like at least 6 months. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
They always come back. Like there's always a way.
Back. Prepare for Sports Pope, Sirius XM. Mike Francesa taking over.
So on the season, Judd's batting .309 with a .278 average for the listeners. Now up in second place. How about that?
Hold on,
listeners have jumped up to second.
I think this is a first.
It hasn't happened in a long time. The listeners jumping up into second place.
Nice work, listeners.
And they're knocking on the door of, they're only 30 points behind you. Declan's at 274. I'm at 248. I now lead the league with 7 home runs. You guys each have 6, and the listeners have 5 home runs on the season. All-time, Declan still with a commanding career batting average lead at 362. Judd at 292. Listeners with 47 career home runs. So, all right, let's get Kyle in here. He's waited long enough through our jibber jab here. Kyle making his debut on Write That Down. How are you today, sir?
Doing well, thank you.
What's your background as a Minnesota sports fan? What kind of got you hooked?
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of a Write That Down broken record at this point, but the 98 Vikings, that's my first big sports memory. And the thing I remember most about that morning is I woke up sick, and so I didn't end up going to church with my family like we normally would. So I just laid on the couch and watched pregame all morning, and I was just so full of purple Kool-Aid by the time that game showed up. I just knew we were going to the Super Bowl, and then I laid on the same couch and cried for a while after we lost that game. So great start to my fandom.
Did you go to school the next day? Because I'm amazed now by the amount of people who have tweeted us after it was brought up a couple weeks ago on this show about the guy who said, I took the next week off from school.
I don't remember. I'm sure I did, but
they should have just given everyone the day off work and school on that Monday. You know, it's I'm just, the other thing too is, and I was like 12 or 13 years old, so I don't remember the full narrative, but I do remember just the Vikings were the absolute toast of the entire league. The Broncos were kind of lurking on the AFC side, but the absolute complete dismissal of the Atlanta Falcons going into that game, I remember that more vividly than anything because that's what set you up for the disappointment of how could you lose to this team? That was a 14-win Falcons team that won at the end of the regular season. They ripped off 9 consecutive wins to end the regular season, and then they rattled off 2 straight playoff wins, with the second one being against the Vikings. Like, they literally hadn't lost a game since middle of October. And we were just like, it's they're garbage. Vikings are going to beat them 50-14, right?
There were 2 storylines regarding that Falcons team. One was the Dirty Bird, which was their dance after touchdowns, and the other was, if you guys recall, I think Dan Reeves, like the previous year or something, had open heart surgery.
Yeah.
And he had a heart scare. And so like the storyline was, win one for Dan. This would be great for Dan. But that was the only 2 storylines that I recall. The Vikings were so good and so dominant offensively that nobody really talked about the rest of the conference and damn near the rest of the league.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the Falcons were literally rattling off like 41, 37, 39, 31, 28, 27, 24, 38. They were scoring almost as much as the Vikings were, but screw them. They got this backup quarterback, Chris Chandler guy, right? Anyways, we're going to start with Kyle, over to Judd, Declan, back to me. We'll go around the room 3 times. Kyle, you are first out of the gate here. What is your first prediction?
Write this down.
All right. First one is a T-Wolves prediction. I'm a little high on the Wolves this year, but I think their schedule early on has some tough games. I think we've got Boston in there. We've got Denver in there. And we won't have Jaden McDaniels right away, which I think is a big factor. And so they have 7 games over the next 2 weeks. And my first prediction is that they will have no more than 4 wins in their first 7 games.
Okay. Yep. I could see them starting kind of a little bit slow because of the schedule. We'll see what happens. There's some chemistry to be built up with some of the new role players here too.
Write this down.
Judd?
Write this down. The Minnesota Timberwolves will join their next door neighbor, the Twins, in ending their playoff series losing streak.
Whoa.
The Timberwolves this season will win at least 1 round in a playoff series.
And this is not play-in round, right? This would be
correct.
A
this will be a
playoff
playoff
round.
series. I don't consider the play-in round to be a series. It's just a arbitrary game, 1 game. So yes, the Timberwolves will win at least their first round series. How about that? That clarifies it.
The optimism coming from the sports dad here. Look at this.
It's about time. It's not asking a lot. I mean, it is for the Timberwolves, but it doesn't feel like it should be.
Yeah. All right, Dex.
All right, I'm going to make a Rudy Gobert prediction, and this might sound a little confusing, but I just want to put it on the record here. So I'm going to say Rudy Gobert drops a double-double tonight against the Raptors, but the double-double will be at least of 25 or more. So, for example, on Underdog Fantasy right now, 5 friends at Underdog Fantasy, it's 24.5 with points and rebounds. Because he's going to get a double-double.
Combined points and he'll double-double, and so it's like a parlay.
Yeah.
It's a double-double,
because he's on track to get a double-double. That's almost a bunt. But I will say the double-double will be at least 25 between the points and the rebounds. So however it equals 25, at least it'll work.
So if he scores 10 points and grabs 15 rebounds, it's a hit. But if he scores 1 point and grabs 24 rebounds, it's not a hit, right? Just that's the prediction. It's double-double and over 25.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to make a Timberwolves prediction too because they play tonight. Let's go.
Write this down.
Flagrant Howls, by the way, Apple, Spotify, Score North YouTube channel, multiple episodes a week. So Tuesdays and Thursdays with some leeway, depending on if we want to react to a game or something with Kyle Tigey and myself. And then you guys will join for some bonus episodes throughout the weeks too. So we're super pumped about Flagrant Howls. Write it down. The Timberwolves will make it to at least the semifinals of the NBA in-season tournament. Okay. I think the Wolves are going to care more than most teams. The Lakers are playing LeBron James like 29 minutes a night. The Nuggets just won a championship. The Warriors aren't going to really be fully engaged or weave Chris Paul into the chemistry until, January, February. I think the Wolves are going to have more to prove early in the season, and they will make a run to this at least the semifinals of the NBA in-season tournament.
Write this down.
All right, back to Kyle for your second prediction.
Vikings prediction here. So I'm torn about what I want for the Vikings this season. I was out on the year, thinking we were going to lose a bunch of games. And then Monday, of course, was a very impressive win, but we're still going to be without JJ for a while. And unfortunately, I think this team is still prone to shoot themselves in the foot. So my second prediction is that the Vikings will go exactly 2-2 over their next 4 games.
Okay. And they'd still be like in playoff position, by the way, if that happened.
I'd be disappointed though.
They have a losing record. I just, I don't think they're going to rip off a bunch of games here. I think that they're still a little too mistake prone to fully dig themselves out of the hole.
I feel like you just laid out though the absolute worst scenario where, hey, they got back into it.
Right?
Yeah. They get back into it. They're feisty. Hey, we're not trading now. We're going for it. And then they stumble. They go 2-2. And now it's like 8 or 9 wins. They didn't make any meaningful trades. And it's.
And to your point,
Vikings.
so I'm sure fans are like, what are you talking about? They played great. And they did play well. But to your point, what concerns me is this too. The reality of that, even though it was at home, that San Francisco game, they had nothing to lose as far as pressure. Like the pressure was all on San Francisco. They're favored on the road. They're the great NFC team. And the Vikings sort of did come out like, okay, we'll show you. Okay, well, now it's going to sort of turn around, right? Like they go to Green Bay now, and I think we're all like, okay, the Vikings can win. So how do they handle that pressure when it comes back on them where there's an expectation? That's what I'm curious to see.
Yeah. Yep, that's definitely a factor here for sure.
Write this down.
And yes, that does involve Kirk, folks. So if you want to get mad at me, you can.
That's at Jay Zolgad on Twitter if you want to send hate
Hater.
tweets from your anonymous
Hater.
account.
I should get a bib that just says hater.
We all should, actually. Okay, Judd, what's your second prediction?
All right, I am going to pivot to the Gopher football bandwagon.
Pivot.
The Gophers football team will beat Michigan State and Illinois in their next 2 games.
Wow.
If I'm not mistaken, they're both home games.
Look at the Kool-Aid.
Michigan
The
State's
Kool-Aid. Let's go.
Michigan State's a mess. Michigan State can't even run their own scoreboard right now without screwing up.
Look at this guy. This guy goes down to Iowa.
Illinois.
Goes down to Iowa for
for
one Saturday, and he comes on the show the next day with his new Gophers hoodie.
I'm the
He's
good luck
predicting a
charm.
winning streak here. It's great.
Guess what? The Zolgads are
Sleep
the
with
good
the
luck charm.
Axe. Let's go. Sleep with the Axe.
You know what? I don't want to talk about this a lot, but let's just say that there is an invite Friday night, dinner at the Flex.
Phil, did you see my text in our
Good luck,
text over
charm.
this weekend of the screenshot from one of my good friends from high school? Was like, I am 95% sure I just saw Judd Zolgad walk out of a casino in Waterloo, Iowa.
And
I was.
that was Judd.
I saw him.
Yeah. He said he talked
He
to you.
stopped me.
Yeah.
He stopped me. It's like, I'm Declan's friend. I'm like, what, dude? What's up? Yeah. I actually went to the sports book there and watched games. I'm not really a big gambler.
I was going to
but
say, that's why I was confused. I was like, he's not a gambler.
Dawn likes to play the slots and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so she likes that a lot. I don't. But the sports book, which I mean, it's not huge, but it's still got a bunch of TVs, and I can direct the guys of what games to turn on. So
What are you just sitting there? You just
they're
yelling
not good at their
directions in your seat?
They're not. They're
I'm
not
not a
good.
big gambler.
Hey!
Can you put
No.
on Hurricanes and Oilers up there?
I go up to the guy. Let's just say that their TV selection is not nearly on point. Again, this is why I should be. If I ran a casino, I would hire me as a second job to run TVs.
You'd hold a press conference to announce your next hiring, and then you would
Because
step
I'll
off
find
the
the
podium,
games.
come back with a new hat on.
But I'm not a derelict. So I'll run the games for you. They need to improve their television.
In the interview process, Judd presents a problem of, all right, it's Pacers and Bulls, or it's Flyers and Flames.
Yeah.
What do you pick? And then Judd
Choose
has
your
a
own
right
adventure.
answer or a wrong answer.
Oh no! Here's what I would do. The first thing, I would blow out the wall more TVs.
Yeah, you can never
they've
have
got-
too few TVs.
I think they've got like 15 TVs. I'd try go 30.
because you need the key games have to be on different parts of the wall too, right? It's not 15
100%.
TVs, 15 different games.
100%. Anyway, if sports betting ever comes here, folks, at Jay Zolgad on Twitter,
Another one.
please run my TVs. I will do that for you for a price.
What an offer.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
All right, back to Declan.
All right, second prediction from me. I'll make a wild one here.
Wild?
So the Wild only play, they have next week, they don't play Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, but they still have 3 games between now and next week's. Write that down. And Kirill Kaprizov has gotten a lot of apples, but only just a few goals on the season. And he's done this now for the 4th time. I think this is the 3rd season of Kirill Kaprizov, where he gets off to slow starts offensively, but then he picks things up. So write it down. Kirill Kaprizov will score at least 3 goals between now and next week's. Write that down.
Ooh, all right. Light the lamp. Let's
So
go.
many
Write
good
it down.
chances
You like
last
writing
night.
things down.
Second period is unbelievable.
Write this down. Kevin Garnett will show up to a Timberwolves game in the regular season.
Okay.
He will
He's done
show
that.
up. I don't remember. I don't think he did last year. He
No,
showed
a
up
couple
like a
years
couple
ago.
years ago, right?
Like a Spurs game to see
Yeah. So KG will show up to a game, a Timberwolves game, in the regular season. Write it down. Off the record, I could see them probably Alex Rodriguez kind of spearheading, and I've heard that they've had some conversations with one of those retro uniform nights or something, because that was the uniform and that was the logo when KG was drafted back in whatever it was, 1995. So maybe they could.
Does this
Or
come
maybe it's
with
the day after the sale gets finalized in March or whatever, and KG's
Just-
sitting in Glenn's seat.
just a quick question? Does this come with any insiding done? Which it can.
Oh, no, it does not.
okay. Like your
Just wanna clarify.
logo prediction, which
I
clearly,
mean, I'm always plugged
Would
into
you
the
try to-
wiring of things. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm always hearing things.
I just like to know
but
if we're subject to the fact that you have moles.
I have moles both.
I know you do.
Inside the Timberwolves, and actually, I've got one kind of right here on the side of my
Get those
nose
checked.
too. Yeah,
Get those checked. My mom was always very
Write
concerned
it
about
down. You
moles.
like writing things down.
this show is
They're ca-
completely off the rails.
They can be cancerous,
Kyle, we
dude.
apologize.
Skin cancer.
I
There's a
know.
PSA for skin cancer. My mother was very concerned. God rest her soul.
I am due to go to a dermatologist. You're supposed to go
Good.
every year.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm concerned about you.
Kyle, what's your third and final prediction?
Third and final prediction, Twins prediction. So I think it's going to be a very interesting off season. A lot of decisions to be made. I think the whole Bally's money is a real factor here. And so putting those pieces together, third prediction is that between Sonny Gray, Jorge Polanco, and Max Kepler, only one of those 3 players will be on the Twins opening day roster in 2024.
Okay.
Like
Which one would you want back the most?
Sonny Gray.
Yeah.
I'm fine moving on from Polanco and Kepler. I mean, they're fun, but at the same time, it's the classic Minnesota. We like those guys. I think I'm
Yeah.
ready to move on. We've got young talent in the infield. We've got corner outfielders are easy to find. Kepler's postseason record, again, nice dude, but he's just not the guy with where we want to go. And now that we've finally broken through, I think there's some expectations for this team. And so we need guys who are going to perform in October.
Yeah, he's 6 for 40 something in the postseason, to
6
which
for
I know
50
that
or something like that. Yeah.
there's a small sample size crowd. It's a small sample size. And I guess my question back would be, would you like to see a larger sample size of it, or are you good? Because he's 30 years old. I would just rather see somebody else.
Yep,
So.
we're good.
Kyle, thanks for coming on here. Since you've got this life-changing platform, is there anyone you'd like to thank that brought you to this pinnacle moment on Write That Down?
I do. Got to thank my wife. She knows it isn't easy being a Minnesota sports fan. And even though she likes to poke fun at me for the incessant disappointment, I still love her. And I think in a twist, too, I think my wife is grateful that I'm a Vikings fan because I fold all the laundry on Sundays while watching the Vikings and other games. So I try to multitask the Vikings games.
Honey, you've been folding laundry for 7 hours right now. Are you okay?
How much
in there?
laundry do you have?
Scott
exactly?
Hansen's trying to.
Pacing myself, right?
Yeah.
We have
Scott
kids,
Hansen's
too,
got
so,
the
you know,
quad
a lot of
box,
laundry.
honey. Be quiet. Awesome, man. Kyle, great stuff. Thanks for coming on here and making your predictions. Good luck, and we'll get you on again sometime.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All
See ya.
right. Before we do our final lap around the room here, a shout out to our friends over at Finch Home Solutions. Cody Finch came on the Football Purple Daily version to Write That Down and made some very long touchdown pass attempts.
Yes, he did. He absolutely loves the The Vikings, and he loves making sure that any electrical issues in your home are fixed. It's the two F's, football and Finch Home Solutions are the professionals when it comes to any electrical issues that you might need taken care of. Anything from installing an outlet, something that small, to rewiring your entire house, to checking the wiring to make sure that you and your family are safe. Finch Home Solutions has you covered. They're going to do a great job. Fast, efficient, courteous, all of those good things. And they're going to give you the straight answer on what needs to be done. And right now, there's an offer on the table. Finch Friends and Family Plan, 1 free electrical inspection a year in your home, no dispatching fee. You go to the top of that dispatching list when you do call, and a 10% discount on all work performed in your home. Only $9.95 a month. Give them a call, 612-357-2604, or visit the website, the new design. It makes it very easy to navigate and actually put in for a home call. FinchHomeSolutions.com. FinchHomeSolutions.com.
Also, we have a cool wing of our website to deck out your man cave, gift ideas, merchandise, and memorabilia. ScoreNorth.com/shop. You can click on collectibles. So, for instance, right now, there is a Matt Boldy autographed custom jersey, courtesy of our friends at Universal Sports Auctions. All these are buy it now items, by the way. Check out the shop. See if there's any gift ideas that spark your interest. Think about your basement, your man cave, relatives, holiday season coming up, and check it out at ScoreNorth.com/shop. Click on collectibles, and if you use the promo code SCORE, SKOR, you get 10% off everything site-wide at checkout. So check it out and let us know what you think. Okay, back over to Judd for your third and final prediction here of the week.
Okay, despite the overall lack of interest in this upcoming World Series that I sense, I'm going to make a World Series prediction, and it's going to involve a term I hate, old friend. An old friend. Good to see an old friend do this or that. Just absolutely stupid. But Mitch Garver will hit at least 2 home runs in the World Series for the Rangers against the Snakes. Mitch Garver in a World Series, congratulations, will hit at least 2 home runs. He is not catching much because Jonah Heim actually is really good behind the plate for the Rangers, but he is DHing. So that is my final write that down.
Did you guys see who made the final out of that game last night?
I did not.
Old friend.
Oh, God. I watched it. I watched just
For the
bottom
film.
of the
Jay
ninth.
Cave.
Couldn't believe that dude was hitting with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Jay Cave.
They gave him like 300 at-bats in the regular season. He batted .212 with a .260 on base, like just classic. And there he is. Season's on the line. Game 7. First ever Game 7 in Phillies history. Crowd's going crazy. Got to get someone on base. And Jake Cave comes walking out. Man.
And the only person who's like watching that game and thinking, yeah, great decision is Rocco Baldelli.
Wow. Or maybe the front office. I don't know.
Somebody within that franchise was like, yeah, this is great. Jake Cave's getting what he deserves.
Do you think that's what sabotaged Thad Levine's interview with the Red Sox? Everything was going great for like 4 hours. And he's like, okay, so here's a few names on a list of guys I think we could look to acquire to make this team better. There's a great 4th outfielder. His name is Jake Cave. Thad, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well,
We'll pick up
doors right there.
Yep. All right, back over to Declan.
Write this down.
I write this down and make a Twins hot stove prediction, if you will. So Tyler Glasnow's name has popped up potentially on trade candidates for the Rays. He's due to make $25 million this year, and let's be honest, the Rays aren't paying him the $25 million, at least not the full freight. They don't pay anyone $25 million to play for them. So write this down. The Twins will have reported interest in Tyler Glasnow. That's how I'm going to quantify this. Reported interest as an MLB insider of such will report, or a Twins beat writer, whoever, will report that the Twins have reported interest in Tyler Glasnow.
And so we usually, it's kind of subjective, but we usually say a credible report, right?
Yes.
And we can decide or use lawyer Chase if we need.
Rosenthal.
Rosenthal.
Passing.
Yeah.
Okay. But if it's MLB rumors with 3 Z's on Twitter, that probably doesn't fall into the.
That is correct.
Write this down.
Okay, write this down. Karl-Anthony Towns will no longer be a Timberwolf on opening day of 2024. I'm going to put one out there long term here. So 1 year from now, opening day of 2024 for the Timberwolves,
Yep.
Karl-Anthony Towns will no longer be on the team.
All right.
I have heard that they did on the down low, like more than maybe was thought, that they did have some conversations with some other teams, but him coming off the injury and there's just too much uncertainty with him. They weren't getting like dollar for dollar value on a trade.
Right.
So they decided probably best to keep him, but it definitely was a conversation. It was a conversation this summer. So we'll see. They got to make a move to avoid the second apron. Kyle and I kind of went into the weeds on like, hey, Jaden McDaniels is locked in. What does this mean a year from now? They're going to pay luxury tax. First apron for sure. I don't think they want to pay second apron. And it's less about like you have to pay a lot of money, but it's also all the restrictions and roster building and things that handcuff you. So but now they have a full year to figure it out. It'll become more obvious in like 6 months from now what they should do. So we'll see.
See if Quiet Karl is a different player as opposed to verbose Karl.
Quiet Karl. If Quiet Karl wants to go out there and average about 24 and 11 and launch 40% from three, that'd be great.
You know what? Ant can do the talking, both with his play and his mouth. More than capable.
Pub for Jake Graffs. That should be the next Jake Graffs t-shirt. Is
Quiet Karl.
Quiet Karl.
Quiet Karl.
Mm-hmm. His head down, ignoring eye contact in press conferences. That's fine though. So Wolves start tonight. Flagrant Howls. We got Flagrant Howls. We got Judd's Hockey Show. We got the Score North Twin Show. Hot Stove editions throughout the offseason. Of course, Purple Daily Vikings Entertainment. And then all the other shenanigans here on the Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd podcast feed. So thank you guys for hanging out with us here and helping us through these largely terrible predictions. And we will see you guys for a Reckless Speculation Thursday tomorrow.